Hi everyone, come join me in my art studio. I'm really excited because I get to share with you guys my method on painting raindrops. We're gonna need some ivory black, titanium white, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and some burnt umber. I use Zesta as my paint thinner, linseed oil as my medium. Gonna need a palette knife, a fluffy brush, and some long flats, which are my favorites. A pointed round brush and some fine liners. I'm working on this cast art canvas, which is an 8x10 inch, and here I'm just showing you how I mix my colors. So I start with the lightest color first, which is usually my highlight shade, and I mix my darker colors as I go on. I'm just making a variation of greys using some burnt sienna and ultramarine blue, and as the colors go darker I start incorporating some burnt umber, and then later on I start touching the ivory black. A lot of artists actually don't like using black paint in their paintings, but I personally don't mind as long as I'm not putting true black out of the tube straight onto my canvas. The reason why most people don't like it is just because of how dark and flat it is. It can kind of make everything else look dull in comparison, and also when you're mixing black into other colors it can make it muddy pretty quickly. But luckily for us, we're painting a grayscale monochrome painting, so it doesn't really matter here. After we got our colors ready, it's time to paint. I like to wet my brush in a little bit of paint thinner before I pick up my paint because it just makes it a little bit runny and easier to use and push around. I've gone in with like a medium gray shade here into the middle of my canvas, and I'm just doing some very loose brush strokes. It's going to be like a blurry, misty window, so it really does not matter. I'm using the same brush now after I've just wiped off a little bit of the excess paint that was on there to go into a lighter grey colour. So I'm not trying to blend my paints yet, I'm just trying to move the paint around in different areas, trying to get variations of colour just so that it looks like a frosted window. I'm using a lighter grey at the top corner there, I'm just trying to get variations in tones. I'm going to start incorporating some darker colours in here now. I'm still not blending, I'm just kind of moving paint around, trying to cover the entire canvas. Okay, so now I'm going to use a fluffy brush, and I'm just going in circular motions very gently. After blending, I felt like it just looked too flat, so I started doing this. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get some more variation of colour like on different parts of the canvas because it just looked too soft for my liking. I'm using a fluffy brush now to blend upwards, and I'm doing this really lightly, like I'm barely touching the canvas. When you're doing this, you want to be constantly wiping your brush so that it's clean and you're not mixing paint around everywhere because that can get ugly really quick. So I wanted this dark colour to stay in this area, so I'm stamping the paint instead of moving my brush in those long motions just so it stays in that one area. Finally getting to paint the raindrops now. Because my canvas is wet and I can't lean on it, I'm just going to lean on this piece of card. So I start off with the darkest colour and make my raindrop shape. Then I can use a lighter shade to try and finish the shape of the raindrop. I'm using the lightest colour I mixed to do the highlights here, and a dry brush to blend. I'll show you another example. This one's a little bit different, but the same rule applies. Darkest color first, then the midtones, and then go in and do the highlights. With raindrops, it does take a little bit of work and a little bit of trial and error. So you will see me here just kind of mixing things together, trying to add more paint, taking off some paint. I love adding a little white dot on each raindrop because I think it makes it look more realistic. I'm trying to paint like rain running down a window here, and the secret to doing this is to just do it very slowly, and I like to start with the darkest color and then do the highlight later. So you kind of want one side to be dark, one side to be light, and it be blended out in the middle. As you can see, I'm really taking my time doing this and going over it a few times, darkening it and lightening it, but always remembering to blend out the middle. That is super important. Painting something so small but so detailed can take a lot of time, and it's really easy to overblend. You can actually see me doing it here, and I kept messing up and having to fix it. It's just the way it goes. You end up accidentally overblending and having to go back and paint it all over again. I'm trying to make it look like rain running down here again, but as you can tell, I'm doing it darker at the bottom and lighter at the top to mirror the background. Sometimes I like to add a little shadow underneath the raindrop to make it look like it's popping off the canvas. I like to paint a bunch of raindrops at the same time just to speed it up a little bit, because you will be here forever otherwise. This is the finished painting. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Really excited to see everyone's recreation of this painting. Bye!